Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm your host, Kevin McGrewan. I'm the SVP of Sales for GigaSpaces. I'm coming to you live from our New York City office, and pleasure to have everyone join us today for our event on putting data to work with composite data services and discussing theory and practice. And I think you get a lot of value out of this informative session today. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Stuart Bond and Jeff Kyle. Let me give you a little bit of background for each of these folks. So Stuart Bond is the research director of IDC's Data Integration and Intelligent Software Services. He has worked in the IT industry for over 25 years, from early experience in database and application development through solution design, deployment, to strategic architectural consulting. Stuart has worked through some significant changes in the IT industry. His depth of field experience, coupled with market insight, gives him a unique perspective, and I think you'll see that in his presentation today. Jeff Kyle is the Vice President and General Manager of the Hewlett Packard Enterprise High Performance Computing and AI Group for Data Solutions. He leads the product management, planning, and engineering teams for the high performance computing group. He's focused on delivering data transactions, in-memory data analytics, and business application solutions. He has technology experience from hardware and software engineering to customer sales and support, business planning and product management and marketing, including over the last 20 years with Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So very, very pleased to have both of these folks to be participating in our session today. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Stuart.
Thank you, Kevin. Let me just get my screen shared here, the right one. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. And as Kevin had mentioned, I'm Stuart Bond. I'm Research Director at IDC. I'm responsible for researching the worldwide data integration and data intelligence software market. I've been an IT market analyst for more than 10 years now, and prior to that, I spent 20 years. I realized I gave Kevin an old profile. He's at 25. It's over 30 now. Unfortunately, we're all getting older. But I spent 20 years as a data and integration professional in various roles, as Kevin had mentioned. Now, as a former certified master IT architect, decoupling has always been an important word in my vocabulary. And today we'll see how this word continues to be an important part of flexible, adaptable, and reliable solutions for a digital-first world. At IDC, we've organized our research around 9 practices, looking at how the future enterprise will emerge. The future enterprise will look more digital than physical. And they will be digital first. Now, to be digital first means to ask, is there some digital-based capability or enhancement that could improve our lives and desired outcomes? Organizations need to connect technology to business outcomes and reprioritize their agendas to focus on addressing new customer requirements for personalization and trust, new competencies, including collective intelligence, software-based digital innovation, and dynamic work models. And 3, shifting critical infrastructure from physical assets to digital infrastructure and connectivity. Common thread that runs throughout the future enterprise, all of these practices, is data. This need to be digital is emphasized in the recent predictions IDC's made, some of them listed here. Business agility is a key part of becoming digital first, as we'll explore throughout today's session, requiring application and business transformation. By the end of this year, we expect that over half of an organization's applications are on a path to being modernized. IDC has also been surveying IT decision makers since March of 2020, every 2 weeks, and now we're doing it every month, about how their technology spending is being changed by the major disruptions we've witnessed and continue to face. The pandemic, global geopolitical conflicts, and rising inflation as examples. We've been able to measure how priorities have shifted in this acceleration to digital, and how future spending is building digital resiliency. One of the surveys fielded earlier this year indicates that 95% of organizations are implementing a digital-first strategy. We also believe that by 2027, 41% of enterprise revenues will come from digital products and services. As we'll see in the coming charts, application and data modernization are key components for digital success and resiliency. For companies to be digital first, they need to put data first. As organizations are approaching modernization to digital first, there's been a shift from business continuity to digital resiliency. The last few years of global disruption have taught us that business continuity alone is not enough. These events have shifted operational resilience to be front and center, ushered in more remote and hybrid workforces, accelerated digital commerce, and adopted more automation. Resilience is a digital capability, though, and we define it as digital resiliency, which is the ability to rapidly adapt to business disruption, to leverage digital capabilities to maintain continuous business operations, and quickly adjust to take advantage of those changing conditions. I think for many of us, we can identify with digital resilience by looking at how rapidly we were able to adapt from working in office to working at home, and shifting from business travel to business video. Just as we have had to adapt and demonstrate resilience, enterprise leaders have also realized they need to adapt systems to support new and flexible operations. In other words, we know that digital resilience isn't just apply to how we work, but must be embedded into the architecture of how a business operates, which includes data. And data is foundational in this shift. Data that's not locked away in fragile systems, but made available and accessible to digital services. Now, with these shifts to becoming digital first, we need to look at the topic of modernization. I alluded to the global disruptions we've gone through, and we need to put these enduring work and technology advances into context. I realize the data here is over a year old, but what people thought would happen back then is happening now. Starting from the left, remote and hybrid work models are continuing, and we're continuing to get better at it. Intelligent digital workplaces are more prevalent. The employee experience, including developer experience, is a driver of innovation. There's a high reliance on cloud. Automation is much more prevalent in the IT environment, in the application environment today than it ever has been before. And timely access to data, regardless of where people are located or working, and from every digital channel, is required to support these enduring changes and challenges that we're all facing. Now we need to modernize, we know that. We have several things holding us back. By far the most cited technology bottleneck here, reported by survey respondents, is legacy application integration. This is really no surprise, as we know how difficult it can be to get to system of record data and integrate systems of record into digital experiences. Environment standardization was second, and as architects, we all know how important that is, and also how difficult it is to achieve. Looking at the third highest bottleneck here, organizations know they have data quality issues. Acceleration of digital transformation is forcing organizations to deal with those quality issues because they're being magnified. Now, the fourth position is governance. Governance is always a challenge. From data through to governing the assets that are created in applications and integration development initiatives, controlled access and deployment and utilization will be key in moving forward with modernization initiatives. Now, yes, we need to modernize, and yes, we need to tackle legacy integration bottlenecks, but we have a developer shortage, and it's only going to get worse. The shortage will drive significant change over the next 5 years. Automation will be needed to improve developer productivity. Low-code and no-code solutions are required to spread the workload out to more resources within the lines of business, including business users. According to an IDC DevOps survey in 2020, 62% of organizations are expanding their development ecosystem I'm sure that number is up even higher now in 2022. This will require APIs for access to applications and data to be available to a broader set of consumers and developers. Now, as we think about what is in scope for modernization as we move towards this digital first world that we're in, it's not just applications, but it's also data. Digital first companies need to put data first. Investment in both software development and data optimization are top priorities for organizations. The point here is that when you're working on modernization applications, you also need to realize the connection to and importance of the data that those applications produce or consume. And you have to look for technologies in the market that can help address software development and data optimization. Now that we know about the challenges that organizations are facing in modernization, let's take a look at how we can accelerate application and data modernization with composite data services. Now back to my leveraging my skills as an IT architect. This is how we define and depict composite data services at IDC. This diagram has a left to right orientation in the flow of action and information. Composite data services unify data across multiple disparate systems of record and databases, providing access to unified views of data via open APIs. This decouples back-end systems from front-end applications. Remember I talked about decoupling earlier? And it enables the ability to create new applications without having to break legacy applications. Composite data services can be leveraged by digital and analytical applications. Composite data services provide near real-time views of live data in the underlying systems without the need to wait for batch ETL or replication to complete. IDC has been measuring the growth of composite data services software within the data integration and intelligence software market. The submarket grew by 8.3% year over year, 2021 compared to 2020. And we're forecasting it to grow at 7% CAGR from 2020 to 2026. These aren't double-digit growth rates, but they're very healthy compared to other submarkets associated with legacy batch data movement and access software. Now, so in other words, this is important, this is growing, this is something that we're going to see continue to grow and become more utilized within the market. Now let's take a look at how composite data services can be used within the context of modernization methods that we've been discussing. DevOps, as we know, has become a focus of many development teams. And based on these survey results, we can see how software development using DevOps helped organizations in their pandemic response and continue to help in the response to disruptions. Now, notice the data of the survey, hence why the question asked about responding to the pandemic and driving innovation. But now that we're emerging from the pandemic, again, we can likely look at these results that focus on driving innovation alone, which is required to respond to any local or global disruption. We discussed how API enablement of legacy systems has been a bottleneck. Well, it looks like DevOps is helping to that end, and even more so in improving experiences in the ecosystem, including partner and customer experiences. Now, composite data services can go even further in helping DevOps teams unlock the value of data stored away in legacy systems by making it available as an API with even less development effort, meeting the demand for developers within a time when there's a developer shortage. Now, because modernization includes application development and data optimization, we're seeing a related discipline emerge called DataOps. It borrows from the continuous dev test deployment motion of DevOps and applies that same focus to the data itself, adding statistical process control methods to assure data drift and shift in pipelines are within acceptable tolerances. And if they're not, to take action. What's driving DataOps adoption? Well, look at the top three drivers here. Productivity, to address the efficiency of data usage, including the ability to leverage data across multiple consumption channels. Data quality. We discussed this already in the context of digital acceleration. Every customer experience has become digital, and poor data quality will result in bad customer experiences. In decreasing the number of errors in data and in the products that produce or consume data, the applications, the dashboards, the models, the algorithms, and so on. In a related question in the survey, organizations told us that they have significantly lowered the number of exceptions in the data caused by the applications, and in turn, lowered the number of exceptions in applications caused by the data. Composite data services can unify data across multiple data sources, improving the efficiency of data engineering efforts in continuous data and analytics solution development, test, and deployment in both DevOps and DataOps situations. Now, we've talked about the challenges facing developers, investments that are being made, and a data enablement solution to meet the needs of unlocking the value of data in application modernization, and how DevOps and DataOps have helped. But what do developers really want? These percentages aren't extremely high, but they illustrate the most important features for developers. Better access to APIs and better integrated CI/CD capabilities. This validates the capabilities provided by Composite Data Services and Ops disciplines. Composite Data Services can expedite access to data APIs. They can be integrated into CI/CD pipelines. They have security embedded, and they can abstract complex data structures. All these features are in the top 5 of improving the developer experience. Now, here's a list of modernization techniques used in the last 2 years compared to the next 2 years. There's not a lot of difference with the exception of replatforming and rehosting. Clearly, applications have been moving around a lot in the past 2 years, but will not move as much in the next couple of years. We think that has something to do with the disruptions that we've seen. Now, I've also seen a lot of rewriting and refactoring has and will continue to happen. Composite Data Services, again, can bring a lot of benefits to the modernization party here, including the ability to avoid costly application rewrites, because if the location of core systems changes, the decoupling of capabilities provided by the Composite Data Services insulate front-end digital experiences from back-end changes. It also allows legacy applications to continue operating without impact. Now, as you move forward in your modernization efforts, alignment with the business is critical. If you're looking to demonstrate the benefits of Composite Data Services, choose a project that, when completed, will make a difference to the bottom line. Because if you do something that has no relevance to the business, nobody's going to take notice. But as you move forward, you need to continue to make sure that you're aligning those initiatives with business initiatives. Leverage those Composite Data Services to unlock the value of data stored in your systems of record. Accelerate your developments and data practices while you're at it. This will transform developer and data engineering experiences. And be resilient across people, process, technology, and data to meet the demands of this digital-first world that we're in. Be ready for disruption and change by putting data first. Now, let's see how it's happening in the real world, putting data to work with HPE and GigaSpaces. Over to you, Jeff. I will stop sharing.
Fantastic. Really appreciate that, Stuart. And Kevin, thanks for having me here representing HPE. Really a lot of great insights in that information, Stuart. And as I share some information too, I want to just highlight a couple of things that that Stuart shared. And what I want to highlight is some of the practicality of this, and that's what I wanted to do here. Some of the exciting stuff we're doing with GigaSpaces and customers to put this digital transformation and the use of new technologies, especially in memory, and how that's being put to use. And Stuart had some data that talked about modernization techniques the last 2 years versus the next two, what's upcoming. And from a very practical point of view, I agree that nailed it right there. For instance, replatforming, we think has already occurred, right? Obviously, the move away from proprietary, the move off of large Unix systems, the move to open modular compute has happened. And in an in-memory world, that's where HPE is focused, the ability to use open modular compute to scale memory for exciting new environments like GigaSpaces. And where it's going next is, we think, that integration with modern tools for new types of, or new ways of doing things. So I'm going to kick off here by kind of aligning where Stuart was talking about, and then showing where we've done some of this practical stuff, and highlighting what we've done with GigaSpaces as well. So we're seeing problems across the industry in this digital divide, the move to digital transformation. We see that widening. There are winners, there are losers. And what we see about a common thread here is that the winners are all doing something that's very similar, and the losers have not quite caught up yet. And a lot of CEOs, we're going to reference a report here we were working on, and McKinsey was one of the authors, along with KPMG, that 67% of CEOs feel they've fallen behind in this race to digital transformation. And those that have sprinted ahead, often involving double the growth over literally just the last 5 years, they have provided more growth than the losers have actually. They provided twice the growth than the losers in this space have done. And those that haven't sprinted ahead and at least started their digital transformation, much less succeeding it in terms of that. The most profitable industries we've seen, pharmaceuticals, technology, fintech, those types of environments. This is where in-memory digital transformation is having a big impact right now. And when I put it into real terms, it is also being able to apply, and this is what I think HP is good at, is resilient environments that also take these technologies to be able to play in a systems of record right now, and take advantage of not only the speed with which analytics or transactions can happen in memory, but also understand that you're not sacrificing anything like resiliency, reliability, or availability. The barriers exist, though, in this data-first modernization type of environment. And businesses need to organize, and they need a predictable cost to align to business resources. IT is always looking for ways to reduce costs, always looking to deliver more with less. But with digital businesses, costs move up and down, and they move up and down with those business results. That means there can be unpredictability. Unpredictability can happen in the public cloud. It can also happen on premise. We see a lot of hybrid environments so that IT can try to better manage those unpredictable types of costs. And the things that we're talking about here, digital transformation and modernization, are tools and ways to actually help moderate that type of unpredictable costs. So we believe in a hybrid world. It's neither here nor there. It's both, or all things at the same time. to really accelerate, businesses need to put data to work. It is still trapped in a lot of legacy systems, in silos, in on-premise data centers, not connected to data that might have been moved to the public cloud. Just a few years ago, we were all talking about how we were going to use data lakes to bring data together. What's happened is we've got data lakes with disconnected siloed data that we're still not able to take advantage of. And it's kind of in that disarray, spread across multiple environments all over the place. And so as we look at these modern ways of bringing data together, you have to be able to tap into that data. The example here would certainly be something like the GigaSpaces, the digital integration hub. That's what we've been working with lately, and a fantastic way to bring your data together. But that complexity also needs to be dealt with, and that's where we as HPE want to help all of our customers moving to a digital transformation environment reduce that complexity, not just by the in-memory capabilities, but also our knowledge, the services and support that are required. I think a company like HPE standing behind customers moving to modern digital tools and services, we can help them move into that modern world. The winning brands know that data is the life force of every business. It does sound, it sounds obvious, but I don't know that everybody really recognizes how much data is being created. We throw numbers of it just in memory, the amount of petabytes that we make available in systems for in-memory transactions and analytics every quarter just astounds me. And of course, on a personal note, and I can tell you probably 5 years ago, we could have actually handled all the images that we all upload to Facebook with the systems we were providing to partners to manage that type of data. I mean, today the amount of data that's uploaded on a daily basis in photos is not managed by any one entity. So the data is just growing incredibly. But we want to offer, and everybody should be looking to, what are those rich experiences with the data? How do you accelerate decision velocity? And that's a key I know GigaSpaces is looking at, is really accelerating how to make the decisions. And how do you take a look at what's not yet to come? In HPE's HPC AI group, our job is to meet the accelerating demand for customers to leverage their data to deliver faster time to insight. What we're doing is playing a pivotal role in pushing forward and fueling these new endeavors, these types of things that haven't been made possible before. And that's critically important, whether it's exascale computing, whether it's in-memory analysis that happens in seconds instead of weeks. These types of things we believe are changing the outcomes. And I've even got some customer examples that'll talk about that too. And GigaSpaces, we believe, is going to play an important part in that as we move forward. Our job here at HPE is to help you take full advantage of data today. As Stuart mentioned, this transformation with data being at the heart of what businesses do, we're here to help make that happen. Whether it's the high velocity data transactions in a payments processing platform, just the past couple of years in payments has been incredible. Yes, we've all moved to digital payments. We all thought we were buying a lot of things on Amazon or online before, and then the pandemic hit, and we know we are buying even more. That infrastructure has held solid, and The fintech industry has grown, and the need for doing more in financial services continues to drive forward the need for, I think, even greater DevOps environments, greater integration with modern development tools. So that's why we're talking about these types of solutions here. And faster business insights, along with even real-time data analysis. So real-time data analysis, we know happens when we put it in memory, graph analytics, risk analytics, even things like trading, et cetera, or cybersecurity with fraud detection. We can build distributed systems and do all of this stuff, but nothing happens faster than it happens in memory. If it happens on the CPU, that's the fastest. Memory, second fastest. By the time you get to storage or networking, it's like comparing a Formula One car with a tricycle in terms of speed. So we believe that these modern tools environments are going to be needed to harness the full data continuum value. And the good thing is we're all putting more and more memory solutions together, and we have more and more environments that will help drive this. So how are we doing it? Well, we're doing it by eliminating those data silos, act in real time, actually consolidate data transactions, consolidate data analytics. You'll see us doing that with GigaSpaces and the DIH type of solution. Again, moving to real time is incredibly powerful, but maintaining flexibility, control, costs, and availability are all within within the abilities that we have to help deliver to you. If we look just quickly at some of the things that HPE is working on in this space, I'll highlight around what HPE is doing is HPE GreenLake. That is the brand that HPE is delivering to customers. That HPE GreenLake brand is the shift from CapEx to OpEx. It is an as-a-service model for all of these types of solutions. We've certainly been known for providing software in various environments, more known for providing hardware to partners and customers. In the HPC AI group, and particularly what I do in data solutions, it's actually how do we provide a differentiated set of products that lead to a brand like HPE GreenLake in conjunction with development tools and products that our partners can help differentiate in these spaces. So in data, those are partners like GigaSpaces. For us, it's products like SUPERDOME Flex that run the largest in-memory environments in the world, whether it's 24 terabytes or even up to 48 terabytes in a single instance. But it's all focused on particular workloads, payments, banking, ERP, like SAP, real-time analytics, smart manufacturing, or digital healthcare. What we also deliver there is the consistent availability, the performance that is needed, security, flexibility, and an open modular environment to get there. What customers need then is these modern tools and software environments like GigaSpaces provide to really take advantage of what's happening out there. And most recently, we've done a lot of work with GigaSpaces around the digital integration hub. And that really delivers extreme performance and ultra low latency. It is scalable. GreenLake, HPE GreenLake as a service allows customers to start small, grow big, even for in-memory environments. Same thing can happen in the public cloud, off and on a SUPERDOME Flex environment with tools like DIH delivering that. The ability to protect that data exists. Going back to where I started, those modernization technologies, the replatform has happened. So we can make your environment available, secure, and performant with open modular standards with GigaSpaces on top. And finally, this presents an opportunity for much lower total cost of ownership in these environments. It dramatically gets us out of the silos, dramatically gets us out of a data environment that keeps us in those silos and doesn't allow us to take full advantage of an in-memory environment. And finally, a couple of customer examples that I would put out there as showing really how a move to in-memory, really how a move to take advantage of data is going to accelerate your business, turn you into those winners, and not be left behind. SNCF is the French Railways, moving a transportation reservation system to in-memory to solve problems of disparate distributors selling tickets, all things needing to come together at the same time, put in memory so that it can be delivered anytime, anywhere. Secondly, would have been our work with McMaster University in Canada. They're doing a lot of the COVID-19 genomic research and unlocking the sequence of genomes to discover new drugs that help all of us combat what I see is probably more types of pandemics in the future than less. And they get a 10x turnaround in performance by moving to in-memory. And finally, helping one of our partners, the Leibniz Supercomputing Center in Germany. There they used a Cerebus compute cluster that really dramatically brought down the amount of time that they could crunch the numbers, so to speak. But in taking the time down to crunch the numbers in a cluster, they also created a problem of actually ingesting that amount of data. So they went from a week of crunching the numbers with Cerebus and the cluster that was built. They went to less than a day of crunching the numbers, but then they went to about a day of ingesting for the cluster to a week to ingest all the new data. And we put that ingest in memory, and that took the ingest down to 1 day to match the compute that was happening on the other end. So fantastic advantages moving in memory, fantastic advantages getting out of these digital data silos that have existed with legacy, and a fantastic opportunity to accelerate and sprint forward with modernization. And I think GigaSpaces is one of those companies that's really driving that forward. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Kevin to take us home.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Great overview. If you could stop sharing for a second, I'd appreciate it. Great. Thank you, Jeff. Great overview. And obviously, we're really very proud to be partnered with HPE and all the great work that our joint clients are able to achieve, which is just wonderful. Okay, let me make sure. Share my second screen here. Okay. So, part of the discussion here about composite data services and how to really help organizations meet the expectations of the business, we're seeing a lot of challenges around meeting new business delivery for digital applications. And part of the whole equation here is business needs these new digital apps just to maintain market share. We've seen that over the pandemic. Business has completely gone digital. The number of new digital apps are ramping up faster than people can stay on top of. We're seeing huge backlogs that people are trying to address to meet the SLAs of the business and delivering these new digital apps. And clearly the requirements for high performance, for very scalable, always on, ultra low latency user experience have really become the objective, the directive, the requirement for organizations. And what we have seen as well is that many organizations went down a traditional application development path, which was a coupled architecture where they were using APIs to integrate the front-end digital application to the back-end system of record. Many times, these digital applications required multiple points of access in terms of different systems of record. You could see 3, 4, 5 different API integration points from the front-end digital app to the back-end system of record. Things became very complex, wasn't scaling, weren't able to provide the 5-9 availability that people were looking at. And Gartner went through a very insightful research process, and they actually created an innovation insight report where they spoke about this new emerging architecture called the Digital Integration Hub, to move away from traditional coupled architectures that were request-based and move towards a DIH, which provides a decoupling of the digital applications from the systems of record and provides an event-driven approach, an event-driven data model to push the data into this digital integration hub, which they view as a much more effective means to meet the requirements of the marketplace. And as they start looking at their research, they found many organizations went down this path of an API-only traditional path, and that all of a sudden organizations, after they finished their first digital app, they went to the second, went to the third, went to the fourth, and all of a sudden they found themselves in a maze of APIs. The complexity, the requirements for maintaining all of this just became unwieldy, and their backlog of digital apps grew so much that they were not competing effectively and they were losing market share. So that's when Gartner had defined this new approach, which is the Digital Integration Hub. And in their Innovation Insights report, they actually called out GigaSpaces as one of the leading providers of an out-of-the-box solution for a digital integration hub, which we call our Smart DIH, or Smart Digital Integration Hub, which is a complete packaged offering, which includes all of the capabilities to be able to ingest data into the Smart Digital Integration Hub, which is a high-performance platform, be able to ingest data from an ETL batch perspective, from a CDC and a streaming level into our environment, providing you with a very high-performant distributed in-memory data grid with ultra-low latency, the ability to leverage tiered storage so that your most pressing, most high-priority data goes into your hot storage or your RAM, and then your next level prioritization goes into your warm storage or SSD. But essentially, it really helps you to deliver a faster approach to delivering a new digital platform, a new digital integration and innovation for not only your first, but second, third, and ongoing applications that you require. So it really just reduces the overall time, money, and expense needed in terms of supporting your needs. And going down the path of what Stuart had shared, this Smart Digital Integration Hub truly enables a composite data service model. So now you're able to accelerate digital services in how you develop these new apps through this decoupled event-driven architecture, as I mentioned. As we see in this architecture, the blue area that Stuart had listed as composite data services, this is where the Smart DIH comes into play. We have a unified data model that enables you to bring in all different types of disparate data, from legacy to relational to structured, unstructured, cloud data services. You can bring in all sorts of data into this environment. It's a unified data model providing automatic metadata management, which really is a significant boost to what our clients are doing. And the unique aspect of what we're delivering in this architecture is the ability to have an always-on environment, meaning I can introduce new data tables, new data types, new digital services into this environment with never bringing down the existing digital services that we have in operation and in production, so that you are never impacting your business and how you deploy new digital apps and incorporate new data, because the world is always changing. We always have a need to bring in additional data sets. So this is a very significant platform to give you the types of innovation that people are looking to achieve. Just wanted to share some of the examples of different use cases that we see going on regarding a digital integration hub model. We have clients that are coming to this environment to really help them modernize their legacy architecture to, again, decouple the systems of record and decouple it from the digital apps and the systems of record. So the example here is Bank Leumi, which is one of the largest banks in Israel. And Bank Leumi one of their challenges was they recognized they needed to go to an open banking digital banking offering, and all of their core banking applications were mainframe based. And they were very concerned that if they were to start building out their new digital apps directly against their mainframe system of record, they were just unaware of the unknown effect of the impact on new MIPS usage and degradation to the mainframe. And they wanted to avoid that because that's their core banking platform. So they ended up going through a very technical evaluation of many, many vendors to see who can help them address their needs here. And it came down to two vendors. One was SAP HANA, the other was GigaSpaces. And we went through, they put both vendors through a 12-week rigorous POC/pilot evaluation process. And at the end of that, we were able to prove that we were 20 times faster than SAP HANA in delivering the types of performance that Bank Leumi required. And Bank Leumi then chose this platform, the Smart Digital Integration Hub, as their digital platform of choice. And they are now building out over 1,000 new digital services to address their requirements. And we're very proud of this new relationship with Bank Leumi. The second area is about rapidly building and launching new digital services. And here's where I talk about, companies that have become a digital disruptor within their respective industry. And when you're a disruptor, that means that you're using technology in a very innovative way to reset the parameters of how people are doing business. In this case, we're looking at Avanza Bank. Avanza Bank is out of Sweden, and they have become the largest #1 bank in all of Sweden in terms of customer service and support and overall business transactions that are happening. And Avanza started out, with a direction of being a complete digital bank, having no branches or branchless business. And they wanted to make sure they were delivering the best digital service to address the customer experience that they wanted to deliver. And they started out with a 3-tier legacy SQL database-based environment that was not able to deliver the customer 360, it was not able to deliver the availability and speed that they required. They then went to our Smart Digital Integration Hub environment, where they have now completely moved their platform away from an Oracle database environment to the Smart DIH with over 22 terabytes of data being processed. They have now delivered over 1,600 high-performance applications, and they are now able to do loan approval and mortgage approval in under 2 minutes. And they have maintained the #1 status in Sweden for the last several years because of the experience they've been able to deliver through this new digital approach. Very significant. Lastly, we see customers coming to a Smart DIH to address specific application bottlenecks, where they're really looking to accelerate the speed of deliverables and the user experience that they require to maintain their efficacy and how they deliver information. In this case, Morgan Stanley is one of our large clients in the financial services district, and they had a requirement to really pull together data around risk management for equity trading. And they needed to make sure they were pulling together a significant amount of data that can then be served up to their equity traders to be able to identify risks and be able to minimize data latency and make sure they were processing their trades as effectively as they could. And they had a need to be able to manage very, very large amounts of data sets, very large number of concurrent users, and very large volumes of queries. And they went to the Smart Digital Integration Hub model, and they were able to achieve this on the platform. So we're very proud of the work that was achieved at Morgan Stanley. So for those of you who aren't aware of GigaSpaces, we are a leading provider, or actually one of the pioneers in the in-memory technology space. Our company is based out of Herzliya, Israel, which is really the Silicon Valley of Israel, if you will. And we're very proud of the fact that we have a very significant number of clients across all areas, all sectors, especially financial services. And we've helped many, many organizations achieve significant speed, innovation, agility, and how they meet their market needs across the world. And one of the things that we'd like to offer the folks who are in the audience today is the ability to work and partner with HPE and GigaSpaces and to go through and better understand your digital initiatives, so we can go in and do a technical review with our architects, with your respective folks, go through an enterprise architecture discussion to understand what you have today and recommendations for what would make sense in the future. And as well, we can do a technical workshop based upon your requirements to validate an approach that would be very appropriate to meet your needs from an HPE standpoint with the SUPERDOME Flex environment, with the GigaSpaces Smart DIH to really help move you into more of a composite data services model to incorporate all of your data across all of your systems, modernize where you need to modernize, and really achieve your goals. So with that, let's open it up to questions, please.
There's questions at the bottom in the Q&A, Kevin.
Okay, so one of the questions is we have 3 legacy systems of record that are being overburdened by API calls from our digital business service applications. We don't want to replace our systems, but we just want to move the processing. Is that possible? Can your application coexist with legacy environments? You know, that's really a great question. We see that quite a bit. And that's a question which I'll answer since it's really addressed to the GigaSpaces platform. So we see many organizations that have existing investments in on-prem. They're looking to go to the cloud. They're looking to address how do they maintain the legacy systems, but at the same time, bring in a digital platform. And one of the things that I will say is that our GigaSpaces Smart DIH is a layered approach that sits on top of your existing environments, and we have the ability to ingest data from your existing platforms, existing systems of record, and we're able to move in the relevant data, for example, the last 90 days worth of data into our platform, and we can do both read, write back to the system of record as needed, and really help you to coexist with the legacy applications so that the legacy applications are maintained, they're continuing to support the business. But now, as you start building out new digital applications, which will sit on top of those legacy SORs, you are not impacting performance in terms of the actual systems of record. You're actually adding performance capabilities to the Smart DIH, which provides you the distributed memory data grid and giving you the ability to really have that coexistence, but now drive out the innovation you need for your new digital applications. So I hope that answered the question. Any other questions, please? So this question goes to Jeff. So there's, a client is saying that they're an existing HPE client. Who should they reach out to for more information?
Yeah, thanks. You can, if you're an existing HPE client, you can just reach out to your client account manager. And certainly you can use my name, Jeff Kyle, or you can use one of my colleagues' names, Brett Gibbs. And Brett's been on my team, really focused on these technologies such as GigaSpaces, Briggs here. Reach out to your account manager, use our names, and we'll get right back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. All right. Any other questions? I think that might have been the last question. Okay. So thank you all. I'd like to thank Stephen. Excuse me. I'd like to thank Stuart for a wonderful job from IDC. I'd like to thank Jeff for a wonderful presentation from HPE. I think it was very insightful, very informative. And I'd also like to invite the audience to join into our next webinar, which will be on July 21st. And it's on Write Once, Deploy Anywhere, a live demo of Kubernetes data replication. And it'll be featuring 2 of our technical product folks from Israel, Tal Duran, who's our AVP for Solution Architecture, along with Yaki Ratz, who's our Senior Solution Architect as well. So thank you all and have a great rest of your day. And this session will be made available as an on-demand session for any folks who may have missed it. Thank you again.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.